Hi, I'm Alessandro Boniolo and last weekend I got top 4 at the Spanish National by playing Maliss. Before starting, I want to shout out my team, the Armageddon Duels Gaming. You can check out the link of the YouTube channel in the description down below. And I want to provide a brief explanation before starting with the actual list, why I decided to play this deck. I think Maliss, like QL Tune, is an Entra based deck, and so the QL Tune matchup is more like a QL Tune mirror match, so you just have to drop entraps, it's a entrap wall, but you have strong entraps like Shifter or Impulse, for example. But the strong point is against all the other decks of the format, because I expected a lot of Branded and Mitsurugi that are the main counter to QL Tune, and this deck with Bestials and Impulse as a very better matchup with respect to the QL Tune against that deck. And in particular also the end board is harder to break with the common non-engine card that are playing right now. Also against Doomsday, for QL Tune is harder to playing against the Doomsday card, while for Maliss having cards like Cryptor or MTP is so easier to interact with the Doomsday card. So without further ado, let's start with the list. For the Maliss engine, I played the standard part, so just all the name maximize, nothing special, and also for the spells, the field spell, terraforming and sarcophagus. The initial part, I think till now nothing more to say, every Maliss deck has to play them. Just you have to spend 2 words about the bricks of the deck. I always thought this card was necessary for the deck, but during this tournament I felt like this card was more a brick than an actual good card for extending my plays. So I think I have to test this card a little bit more and decided if is okay to cut out this card. For the last consistency card, although this card is so strong in this deck, and in particular against QL Tune. Against QL Tune I never side them out, also going second, just because this card can take away the knowledge of the end that Rotary gave to the QL Tune players. And since the one of the strongest point in the QL Tune endboard is the knowledge of your end, this card is a sort of game changer in that matchup. So strong. Allure was probably the MVP of the tournament. Last, let's say, consistency card, but this card is just too strong not to playing it. And let's move now to the entraps. Obviously Shifter, nothing to explain about this, wins games alone. And as I said, I decided to play Bestial. They are strong against decks that I were expecting, like Blundered, like Mitsurugi, but especially these 2 cards are strong also against QL Tune. Magnamut, in a similar way of Allure, is able to take away the knowledge of the end by changing the top deck. And also Druism becomes stronger because you are able to force, let's see, I have to show this card because this is the reason why they are strong against QL Tune, because Magnamut alone is able to force 3 things on the QL Tune endboard. One is the top deck decided by Q, you can change the top deck as I said, but then you are able to add Druism. Once you summon Druids and you start the turn with 2 bodies on field, and so the first play is making dodge, you can send the opponent Zalen to the graveyard, so you immediately force Zalen And also you can reborn Zaren with Dark, so just Manyamut is able to force 3 interruptions. Also Drew is alone, even if not added by Manyamut, you have 1 body less with respect to starting with this, but is still useful to link climbing or sending some annoying card on the opponent's board. And so this is the reason why I think this card were particularly good also against QL I never side Bestial Outs, only Baldric going second against QL because it's the only card that has no very impact in that particular matchup, but obviously against Mitsurugi and Branded or some other matchups that are strongly dependent on the graveyard and light or dark monster, also Baldric is kept inside. Let's move now to the other lines of the end trap. So 3 Impulse, 3 Impermanence, 3 Ash, 3 Bell and just 1 Veiler. The Veiler is a matter of side pattern, let's say. In the side deck there are 1 more Veiler. I think this is just the weakest of all these end traps, but it becomes stronger when you open, for example, 1 of these plus 1 of these against QL, so you are able to stop the normal summon and then stop the extender. And so this is the reason why I think this deck also for the end traps, this deck can play as a let's say better matchup against QL also with respect to the mirror QL match. As you can see, I didn't play Spark. I think Spark is a very good card in deck that are able to push, like Mitsurugi for example, when you have to blow away 1 problematic card, and Spark is able to do that, and then with your engine you can push on the opponent's board. But the aim of Maliss is completely stop all the opponent's plays, and in this kind of approach I think Spark is not that good, so I decided not to play Spark nor in main or in side deck. So this is everything for the main deck. I mentioned the one-off of the Veiler, so this is explained as I was saying in the side deck. I played 2 Droll and 1 Veiler, and this is a choice that I made especially for QL because there are 2 kind of ways to play Killer Tune when you start with Rico and Rotary. Some players decided to play around Droll, and so I think this is a correct choice. And so they just don't use the Rico effect on summon, they synchro them away, so using Rico plus Rotary they make the synchro 4, and so you are able to play around Droll by declaring in the same chain Rotary and the synchro 4. But in this way you are suffering much more the soft end trap, because if you drop Veiler on the synchro 4 in that spot, Rotary can add a spell that is usually KTS or JJ, but if Veiler is seen along with 1 of these 2 cards, you are able to stop the card added by Rotary. So you see at game 1 what your opponent is going to do. So if you see that they just don't declare Rotary, post side you put another Veiler for increasing the chance to open Veiler or Imperm together with these 2 cards and stop their plays. Otherwise, if you see in game 1 that they are just declaring Rico no matter what and playing under the roll, so post side you don't side, the Veiler and also side out one copy of Veiler that was in the main deck and put the 2-Droll instead of the Veiler. So this is the approach I used in this tournament, and I thought it paid a lot. So this is for the first entrap of the side. Other entraps were Ogre. I think Ogre is necessary at least to play in side deck because Doomsday is a deck, and also against Branded this card is very strong. He's become stronger with the next cards. I played a lot of cards for the back rows. I think in this particular format Storm or Duster are so strong, both against Sky Striker but also against Branded, because with Ogre or this card you can see one of these cards to break the back row of the branded player, and then with Ogre or Impulse you can stop the effect of the original Albats to fuse, and so this card in combination are able to break alone the entire branded board. So for the final card of the side deck we have now Free Fisher for the going first against branded QL Tune or some decks that relies on the graveyard, and to finish the 2 Mistaken Arrest. Only 2, I have no more space, but let's see, against together with Droll, if you play against Doomsday or Mitsurugi you have a lot of cards to put in. So this is all for the side deck. Let's move quickly now to the extra deck. I think the extra deck is pretty standard for Maliss, so 2 Link Kuriboh, 1 Almirai, 1 Link Spider, even if Nibiru is not that common in this format, but if you face an opponent that is playing Nibiru, you can't just lose that game because you don't have Link Spider, so I think it's still necessary. And the last Link one, Disciple, I obviously play Itzol, and that's the reason why I play Disciple, but it's also good as a different attribute when you go for Access Code. For the Link 2, Leads or Darch, I already explained the utility of Darch in the QL Tune matchup. On the strongest extender of the deck, SP, pretty standard, the 2 Link Maliss, and then as I said, Itzol. I prefer this card rather than Transcode, for example, because as I said in the main deck, I never cut the Bestial out even after siding, even when I go second, and so Transcode loses its utility if you put something on board that is not Cybers, because it isn't able to use its effect. And also I played Impulse and Transcode is Art, so I don't like that card so much, while this card is much stronger in my opinion. To finish, Access Code and Accord, nothing special. And this card, I think Typhoon is must need in this deck, because especially this deck is not so brilliant in consistency, and sometimes you just drop entraps, and for some turns you keep going to drop entraps and not seeing a starter, so you have to put something on board that is able to put some damage, and this card is the best in simplified game state. So that's all for my list. I want to shout out Hakuna Matata for this possibility, and hope to see you guys again in this channel. Bye!